So, after I was fired from WellCare, thanks to my psychiatrist, I went on disability for depression and anxiety and hallucinations, psychosis, paranoid schizophrenia, whatever we want to call it. I was on disability for 3 years and missed that appointment, and they took my disability away, and I've lived with no income ever since. Thanks to my family, I've been able to survive. I was living at their house, my mom and dad's house. My dad got so bad, my mom got so bad with their dementia. My sister had to move back in. And I was living in a hotel environment. My sister was helping me. Because we knew that if I lived at the house, my dad was going to have me arrested. For what? Whatever he created. He was out of his mind. It was dementia. But we ran out of options. We ran out of money. My sister bought me a mobile home to live in, but I got kicked out of the campground. So I had to move home. Within 2 weeks of moving home, I was arrested. My dad lied, said that I picked him up and threw him down. They believed him. He believed him. Everybody believed him. They arrested me. And I served 9 months in Hernando County Jail. Someone who had never been arrested. Someone who's not violent. Horrible experience. When I got out, somebody called my sister, told her they were letting me out. I don't know who. She came and picked me up. If she hadn't, I would have been on the street. I was on the street. In paper clothes. All I had were the shorts and the t-shirt on my back. Boxer shorts. That they arrested me in. I loathe the Hernando County Sheriff's Department. For not understanding. My father was suffering from dementia. He was crazy. He was out of his mind. He's dead now from what? Dementia. And I was the victim. I now have a third-degree felony record with time served. I didn't have to serve probation because I said just leave me in jail. Because when I get out of jail, I'm homeless. They left me in there. They didn't give me probation. I said, just leave me in here as long as you can. They kept me for 7 months with time served, whatever that means. It was about 7.5 months. I don't know what the sentence was. I never got a sentence. I don't know what it was all about. But when I got out of jail, my dad had a year-long restraining order put against me so that when I got out of jail, I could not go home for a year. I couldn't be in contact with him. I couldn't see him, couldn't speak to him for a year. I don't know who initiated that restraining order, how it all came to be, the Dawn Center. Whatever that is. It's supposed to be for domestic abuse. For women and children. My dad was older than 65 years old. He was a man. There was no domestic abuse, except him to me. He just wanted to get rid of me. So he did. The only way he could. Lied. He tried every way in the world to get me to attack him. I wouldn't. I'd just lay back down in the bed. Every time he attacked me, I'd head straight to the bed and lay back down. And he knew he was never going to get me to be violent. Never. He never did. He never could. He never would. And I don't know what that campground was that I lived in in a mobile home. What it was they accused me of. But they kicked me out. So my sister bought a home there, and I couldn't live in it because I couldn't live at the campground. I was happy there. I didn't care if I spent the rest of my life there. I just needed a roof over my head. So I went back in the hotel. What was the saying? Motel, hotel, Holiday Inn. I stayed in an RV in someone's house. My sister rented $1,400 a month to live in her RV. It was out in the country, great for chaos. She had a dog, I had a dog. She kicked me out. Because of my yelling. I know. The hallucinations. Drug induced? I don't think so. It's called paranoid schizophrenic people. Called bipolar depression. Anxiety. Levels you can't even begin to understand. My family calls it the worry gene. My dad had it. That's why he drank beer 24/7. I have it. It's not a worry gene. It's called anxiety. It can be medicated, but it puts you to sleep. So you can go through life in a daze, in a haze, or you can try to control your environment. Well, there's no doing that, is there? Lived in the motel hotels and lived in the RV. Lived in another RV for a month, 10 days. That was a nightmare. It flooded for me and chaos. That was in Tampa. Eventually, my restraining order ran out after a year. I could see my dad again, talk to my dad. Right? I had chaos with me living in the motel hotels. My sister brought him to me. was miserable for him, miserable for me. Well, that's life. When I went back home, my sister had me a tiny home built out of a shed. It was a nice place. I loved it. My depression was worse than ever. And when I truly became homeless, when I was evicted from the shed and told just get lost. I had a car. That my sister gave me. Her trade in. She didn't trade it in. She gave me her old car and she bought a new car. I was very thankful. Eventually it died. And I was still not allowed to come home. Legally. They had me trespassed. I was on foot, me in chaos. Living in hotels. Walking. Made it to Wesley Chapel. Made it to Zephyr Hills. Well, my sister would give me ride places, drop me off at a hotel motel. Till I would get kicked out. Famous for that. Well, that's what happens to crazy people. You don't tolerate them. You kick them in the stomach, kick them in the face, kick them to the curb, and walk away.